Hey, how's it going? Demondriver here. Thank you for joining me today. I want to show you how to take balsa sheet, like this 1/32 balsa sheet, and laminate your RC Airliner fuselage, just like this one, this 737-200 right here, and how to add this kind of balsa sheet laminate to your airliner easily and very quickly, and give a nice, durable skin to your airliner. And we're going to do that in this video, and I appreciate it if you join me. Okay, what we have in front of us here, three 737s. We have our 737-7 MAX, 737-200, and a 737-300. The 300 was basically just an elongated version of the 200, and you can see the fuselage difference. The 700 MAX is basically the 700 model of the 700 model, which is basically the 300 model, but it is a tad longer because of the difference in the tail cone of the fuselage of the MAX. So let's go ahead and let's start adding our laminate. I already have one piece of 1/32 down on this MAX fuse. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to add the rest of it. What will be done is eventually I will sand this down to about maybe 1/52, so it'll be very, very thin. You won't even notice it. But the good thing is it'll help create a uniform side and flatness, so that any kind of little bumps or anything will be gone. You won't notice anything like that. And that's where, and it's also durable. It's a lot more durable than the bare balsa. Now there's another thing that you can do. You can add 1mm Depron. You can do that, or you can actually fiberglass it in some cases. I choose the balsa because it's more durable. We got some balsa here. Here's some 1/32 right here. Some 1/32 sheet. It just tends to be more durable. See, I laminated. Here's a Shorts 330 wing. You see I laminated the upper surface. So it's durable. It's as light as foam, but it's actually stronger. It's denser. It's harder to damage. So let's go ahead and let's start laminating this fuselage of our 737 MAX 7. Okay, Demondriver here. We're back. Here is our 737 MAX 7 fuselage. I have it on a foam bed here to keep it nice and safe and keep it from getting dinged. I've got a little block of wood here to keep it from rolling around, because it's, you know, a circular fuselage. A little bit of wind can come along and roll this thing potentially right off the table. What are we going to use? What are the main tools that we need? 5-minute Bob Smith epoxy, 2-part. You can use this Depron. It is basically the clone of Bob Smith epoxy. This is the Depron version. You can buy this at Lowe's. You can buy it at Ace, True Value. Good stuff. It can be rather expensive. Bob Smith, 5-minute. This is the smallest container size. This is a larger size right here, 125 milliliters. This is about, let's say maybe 70, 80. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to take the 5-minute and we're going to apply it with a brush to the fuselage. Then we're going to take our 1/32 balsa sheet, line it up, and lay it down across the fuselage like so. Alright, so let's go ahead and mark off where we need to place our epoxy, because that's what we're going to do. Take a pen. I mean, this is really straightforward and simple. Now, a lot of you may want to know, is it possible to laminate the entire fuselage? Of course it is. I choose not to do it with these particular airliners because it just adds a little bit more weight, and what I'll do is I'll use a finishing resin to coat and glaze the entire nose and tail, and I'll sand this balsa down so fine that you won't, you won't see this bump between the uncovered fuse and the balsa. You see there's a ridge. Obviously that's the balsa. When I'm done sanding it, you won't even notice it. It won't be noticeable. And that's the key. But I'll still leave a very thin veneer, maybe 1/52 left on the fuselage, and that gives me a uniform straight line, so that I place a ruler down, there's not going to be any ridges, it's going to be perfectly flat. And that's what you want. And it gives a nice durable surface to the fuselage. It's good. Now, what I use once I get the epoxy down, put the balsa down, I'm going to use this painter's tape to help adhere the balsa to the curved surface. The reason I use painter's tape, this is 3M painter's tape right here. It's about $5 to $6 US at most hardware stores. The reason I use it is when you pull it off the surface, it's very, very gentle. It's not going to take balsa and foam along with it. So it sticks good, but it doesn't, when you remove it, you know, because it's painter's tape, it's designed to not take tape that, you know, paint that you don't want off the surface along with it. So it's, you know, that's a benefit. So we're going to use that. So let's go ahead up and mix up some 5-minute epoxy right here. All right, get my 5-minute Bob Smith epoxy right here. 2 big globs. That's what you want. You're going to use up a lot of epoxy. Now you can use 15-minute, half-hour epoxy if you want. The problem with that is the set time is so long that during the set time you can actually the tape will actually pull away from the balsa. I'm pulling off some pieces of tape here, getting them ready. What can happen is the resin, because it's sitting so long, the plane can fall off the table, your kids can play with it. I mean, a million things can happen. So you want a quick set time so that you're done with it. It's set, it's done. You can put the plane back away, or you can keep working, or whatever. So let's go ahead and take our brush. Let's mix up the 2 pieces, the 2 parts of this 5-minute resin, 5-minute epoxy, Bob Smith. Now, the hotter the temperature is outside, the faster the resin kicks. The colder it is, the slower it kicks. So today, right now, here in South Carolina, it's about 80, 82 degrees. So this stuff is, you know, right a little over room temperature, so it's going to be a little faster to kick. The closer you get to 90 or 100 degrees, it's going to take about a minute right off the set time. So here we go. Got to be quick. We apply it straight to the surface with a brush. Right to the surface, right to the surface. Be quick, be thorough. Don't fool around, don't waste time. See, we took our pen and we drew in the outline. We lost the outline right there. But it's important not to go over your line here. So let's draw that in there so we know. There we go. Let's keep moving here. Be as quick as you can. That's the one downside of the 5-minute. You gotta move fast. You cannot play around. Gotta get it onto the surface. And this max is longer than the 200 that I already did. And the good thing about the 200 was, you know, it's a shorter fuselage, so you got less surface to laminate. But here with this bigger 700, this max 7, you got a longer fuse, so you gotta move quick. Got some debris in there, not a big deal. Keep applying it, brush it in. You know, try and make sure that you have a nice even surface, and try and get the epoxy right up to the edge of the balsa there. Let's go ahead and do the forward section here. And the other thing about doing the nose with balsa is that once you start to get the curves, you have to actually cut out little individual pieces of balsa, kind of like a mosaic, kind of like you're doing like you're doing a stained glass window. You know what I mean? You gotta. So we keep applying this as fast as you can, as fast as you can, as fast as you can. As fast as you can. We got a little area here. Little area here. Got to mix up a little bit more epoxy. Run out a little bit. We've run out a little. Ran out premature. That can happen. Don't worry about that. Not a big deal. Not a problem. Oh, wrong brush. Picking up the wrong brush over here. Jesus, God Almighty. Not good. All right, Chris, stay on the ball. Gotta fill in all these areas here. What's going to happen is you're going to have areas of balsa that aren't going to stick, and they're going to pop up. All right, it's starting to kick. We very quickly take our balsa sheet. Here we go. Line it up as best you can. Eyeball it. There we go. We're lined up real good. Take it and take your hands and just press it in across the surface the best you can. Just like that. With your hands. That's the first thing you do. Then come in with this tape that we already had pulled out and take it, press it down across the surface. There you go, nice and flat. There you go, just like that. Take this piece, take it, lay it down nice and flat. Pull it taut, get it straight on there. All right, keep running your hands across it, and then we take a nice long piece, lay it down across the seams where they join. There we go. And then fold up a little piece so that you can pull the tape back off when you need to. Another long piece, like that. There we go. Take your finger, take your hands, and press it down, and use the tape. And the tape is just going to help it adhere. Press it down, and it gets hot. You can feel the when this two-part epoxy starts to kick, it starts to heat up. It gets hot, so you can feel it kicking. But keep running your hands across the surface, across the seams, everything. That way, you're helping the balsa adhere to the foam surface. And I can feel by rubbing this, I can feel the abnormalities in the skin, the little bumps and ridges. So when I come in with the sander, I can actually sand all that out. So through the balsa, I can sand down a surface that is as flat and as perfect as that ruler. Okay? Very important. That's key. So also what I'll do is I'll take some pieces and I'll look to see where it might be popping up, and I take go ahead and do that. And the good thing about this is it's relatively quick and easy. It's not, it doesn't take a boatload of tools. It just takes, you know, a little bit of patience. You got to be quick. But if you're using 15-minute or half-hour epoxy, then you don't have to brush it on as fast. You can use a bigger brush if you want and just brush on a nice coat. But the good thing about using the 5-minute is you get it on quicker, and you have less time to make mistakes. And I think with the 15-minute and the half-hour, what I've always noticed is you can have it on there for 3, 4, 5 hours a day, and you'll still see it pop up and the balsa start to come off. So this stuff, the 5-minute, it kicks quicker and it seems to just hold better. over time than the other slower epoxies, but some builders find the opposite. So we'll put some more on here, and there we are. And just keep applying it with your hand, keep watching it. Notice areas where you see it start to pull up. And what you can do is, there's a tip I have, another tip here. You lay it down the surface that you just applied straight up. And then what you can do is you can take old batteries or weights or bean bags and you can apply them to areas where you see the foam, where you see the balsa starting to pop up and it's not, the tape isn't doing its job. You can go ahead like this and take weights and do that and weigh down the balsa on the surface and help it press down the balsa to the surface. And there we are. And we'll just let that set. It's 5 minutes, but I'll give it about 15-20 minutes. And then I'll pull this tape up and away, and I'll keep going. And I'll keep applying the balsa. Well, here are all 3 7.3s that I'm working on currently. We've got the 300 model, 737-300 right out here. In the middle is the 737 MAX 7, and on the outside is the smaller 200, 737-200, all with their fuselages laminated with balsa. Get a better look of them. And they're coming along pretty good. And there we are. And there you have it. We got the 737 MAX 7 and a 737-200 with their fuselage tubes fully laminated. Next step, I'll add some spackle, I'll start sanding, and I'll sand them smooth so that they are perfectly straight, perfectly flat, and uniform, and then I can go on to the next step. Alright? That's how you laminate your fuselage of your foam airliner with balsa. It's Demondriver. Thank you for joining me. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.